What if the very walls that made a city legendary were built by the hand of a god they later betrayed? This is the story of Poseidon, god of the sea, earthquakes, and horses, a being of immense power, fierce pride, and a temper as unpredictable as the ocean he ruled. Poseidon wanted what every god craved most: honor, respect, and recognition of his power, and woe to any mortal foolish enough to withhold it from him. Our story begins after Poseidon and another god, Apollo, had defied Zeus, king of the gods, in a failed rebellion on Olympus. Apollo, the radiant god of music, prophecy, and the sun, was Poseidon's companion in punishment, bright, calm, and composed, where Poseidon was stormy and proud. As punishment, Zeus stripped both gods of their powers for a year and sent them down to serve a mortal king, Laomedon, ruler of the great city of Troy. Laomedon was Troy's king, proud of his growing city, but known even among mortals for his greed and his broken promises. Laomedon struck a bargain with them. "Build me walls no army could ever breach, and tend my flocks, and I will reward you both handsomely when the work is done." So Poseidon labored, shaping massive stones with his bare hands and calling forth the sea's own strength to raise walls higher and stronger than any city had ever known. Meanwhile, Apollo tended the king's flocks in the hills nearby, his music so beautiful that even the animals seemed to walk in rhythm to his song. After a full year of labor, the walls of Troy stood complete, towering, seamless, and legendary, exactly as promised. Poseidon and Apollo came before Laomedon expecting their reward, but the king's greed got the better of him. Laomedon refused to pay them a single coin. Worse, he mocked them and threatened to cut off their ears and sell them into slavery if they dared protest. It was an insult no god could forgive. A mortal king had used, humiliated, and cheated the very builders of his own salvation. A grudge was born. Once his godly powers were restored, Poseidon unleashed his vengeance. A monstrous sea creature rose from the deep to ravage Troy's coastline. Crops failed, homes were destroyed, and fear spread through the city. Desperate, Laomedon consulted an oracle to learn how to stop the destruction. The answer was cruel. To appease Poseidon's wrath, Laomedon would have to sacrifice his own daughter, Hesione, chaining her to the rocks as an offering to the monster. Hesione was Laomedon's beloved daughter, innocent of her father's sins, now bound to pay for a debt she never created. But fate sent an unexpected hero passing through Troy at that very moment. Heracles, the legendary strongman known throughout Greece for his impossible feats. Heracles offered Laomedon a deal. He would kill the sea monster and save Hesione if the king would give him his prized immortal horses in return. Desperate to save his daughter, Laomedon agreed. Heracles charged into the waves and, after a brutal struggle, slew the monster with his bare strength. Hesione was saved, but true to his nature, Laomedon betrayed his word once again, refusing to hand over the horses he had promised Heracles. Furious at being cheated exactly as Poseidon once was, Heracles vowed revenge. Years later, he returned with an army, stormed the city, and killed Laomedon in battle. Of all Laomedon's sons, only one survived, a young prince named Podarces, who was spared and later renamed Priam, meaning the ransomed one. Priam rebuilt Troy from its ashes, and under his rule, the city rose again, richer, grander, and more powerful than ever before. But even as Troy flourished, one truth remained unchanged deep beneath the waves. Poseidon had never forgiven the house of Laomedon, and Priam was still his blood. The grudge slept, but it did not die. It waited, patient as the tide, for the day Troy's fate would once again fall into Poseidon's hands. Generations passed. Priam grew old, and among his many sons was one named Paris, handsome, charming, but reckless, and destined to bring ruin upon his own city. Paris made a fateful choice in a divine dispute among goddesses, and as his prize, he took Helen, the wife of a Greek king, back with him to Troy. Outraged, the Greek kings gathered a massive army and sailed for Troy to reclaim her, igniting the legendary Trojan War. As the war began, the gods themselves took sides. And Poseidon, despite once building Troy's walls with his own hands, chose to stand against the city he had helped create. His old grudge against Laomedon's bloodline had never faded, and now, with Priam's kingdom under threat, Poseidon finally saw his chance for justice. Throughout the long years of war, Poseidon quietly aided the Greeks, calming their seas for safe passage and stirring panic among Trojan ranks on the battlefield. Yet, remarkably, the walls Poseidon himself had built all those years ago held strong against every Greek assault, protecting the very city he now wished to see fall. It was a bitter irony not lost on Poseidon. His own craftsmanship, born from betrayal, was now the greatest obstacle standing in the way of his revenge. For 9 long years, the war dragged on with neither side able to break the stalemate, the walls of Troy standing defiant against every siege. It would not be brute force that finally broke Troy, but cunning. A clever Greek commander named Odysseus devised a plan no wall could ever stop. The Greeks built a massive wooden horse, hid their finest warriors inside it, and pretended to sail away, leaving the horse behind as a supposed offering to the gods. Believing the war finally won, the Trojans dragged the horse through their own gates in celebration, never suspecting the danger sealed within its wooden belly. The trap was sprung. The walls that Poseidon had built to be unbreakable were never breached by force at all. They were simply opened from within by trust and deception rather than by siege. Troy burned. The city Poseidon had helped raise from bare stone and later cursed for a king's broken promise finally fell in a single catastrophic night. From the depths of the sea, Poseidon watched the flames consume the towers he had once built with pride, feeling not joy exactly, but something colder and heavier: closure. King Priam, the boy once spared by Heracles decades earlier, was killed in the fall of his own city. The last echo of Laomedon's long-ago betrayal finally silenced. Yet Poseidon's story with mortals did not end there. When Odysseus later blinded the sea god's own son, the Cyclops Polyphemus, on his voyage home, Poseidon's fury simply found a new target. It was a pattern that defined Poseidon completely: a god of immense power, unwavering pride, and a memory for grievances that could stretch across entire generations of mortal lives. In the end, Troy's tragedy was never truly about monsters or wooden horses. It began with one broken promise and a god who never forgot being wronged. The walls Poseidon built with his own hands became the very symbol of the city's pride. And it was that same god's patient, unyielding wrath that ultimately ensured its fall.